Okay, I'm going to start checking the alignment of these hammers. I may or may not have to make some changes. You know, things can move. And on a grand piano, the alignment is really critical because when we hit the left pedal, we're shifting over, right? So I want it to do the same thing to every note as far as how it's hitting three strings. Is it missing a string? Where it's hitting them?
Sure.
I need that to be consistent if I'm going to get a good shift voicing.
Okay.
So that's the main reason. Well, no, that's not the main reason. The main reason why we check the alignment, we want clearance between the parts too, because things can move around.
Sure.
So this might be very hard to see, but I look through here, and in this case, this piano is set definitely to miss the left string when it shifts over, Josh.
Okay.
And I know you like a little bit less contrast. You probably like it if I set it to hit.
Okay.
But
for most people, they don't use soft pedal as much as I do, I don't think. So they probably do want that.
Well, I'm totally into what you're doing, and I've been trying to get better at it ever since you brought that up a little while ago.
But
on this piano, it's a player piano. It's the Spirio.
Oh, okay.
And they're setting them this way intentionally. They want to capture a lot of nuance, high contrast musicality in the recording.
Yeah.
And so the instruction is to, at least that I've received, is to make a miss that third string so that there's a definite contrast.
Okay, cool.
So it does make a different tone. Also, while we're talking about the pros and cons of hitting or missing, now I don't know if you can see, I'm wiggling this hammer just a little bit back and forth, and I'm wedging my screwdriver into the hammers here, and I can just pivot them around. So I just want them to be this, I'm looking at the left side, and I want the same amount of felt on the left for every hammer. And I'm super picky about this. It's a very finicky adjustment. Usually I end up kind of just going the same direction on these. That one went a little too far. There it's back right where I want it. Whoever worked on this in the factory did a really good job, and that's what I'm finding. Josh, they're producing like 60% of their pianos now are Model B Spirio recorded.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a pricey piano.
That's the last number I heard. Yeah. But like most of their sales right now are these. And honestly, I think it's cool. Player pianos I've kind of not really turned my head at, but I do like these because you get the best pianist on the best piano.
Sure.
And then you add that record function, and it can become a real learning tool, I think. But I sound like a salesperson right now.
No. And tell us the difference between Spirio and Spirio R, and maybe the price difference on that as well.
Yeah, price difference, I don't know if I'm going to hit it right. So I don't know if I want to venture there exactly.
Okay.
I can maybe give you a real ballpark. So the Spirio, when they first came out with the player piano, it was it's just a playback only.
Sure.
Spirio RR meaning record.
Okay.
They added that record function. They have a sensor rail that goes on top of all the hammers. It senses them without touching them. But the system's really slick because it's engineered. They install it in the factory. They've gotten it right.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really cool is if you get an aftermarket player piano, a lot of times the pedal levers, let's see, can we get down on it's not very light under here, but these pedal levers down here, they strip all of those and they'll put in, different levers when they do these aftermarket player piano systems, and it makes the pedals feel just
terrible.
Really weird. Yeah. But on this piano, you have independent levers for the player and the acoustic function.
Oh, cool.
So it doesn't affect it adversely.
Nice.
Yeah. So as a technician, I'm like, yes. Because that's the one thing that bugs me about a lot of the players. So I'm just going to carry on. That middle section was really good. Like I said, whoever prepped this piano did a really great job. But
awesome.
Okay, Josh. So I finished aligning the hammers. Luckily, we didn't make you sit through all of that. Actually, it was really quick on this piano because, like I said, it was very well prepped. It was pretty consistent. Just a little bit of shifting over. I align the hammers on the notes with 3 strings and up to miss the left string. The bass section's a different story. I don't know if you care, but just as a point.
Yeah.
I align it so that it does not miss when you shift over.
Okay. Cool.
So I've been told that that's a good practice. So
Okay.
I just go with that. That's just kind of my routine. It does make it harder to make as big a contrast in the bass section when you shift over as you have in the middle, but apparently it doesn't matter down here musically. So,
Yeah.
But if it ever did, I mean, I could align them differently if I wanted to. But I think typically the designers, the engineers have that built in, that type of alignment built into in frame of mind when they design how the piano should come together. So we got I think this is drying a lot more than what it was. I think it's solidified a little bit. Do you want to do your magic?
Give it a try. Oh, it's not going to be magic. And I'll make plenty of excuses for you guys. It's getting late. These Paganini etudes are demanding, but let's try this terrible little passage from number 2. Okay, so like he said, the shift pedal, far left pedal, una corda pedal. Now I'm calling it the shift pedal.
Oh, yeah.
So the una corda pedal hasn't been broken in with that crustiness like he was saying. But we'll try that with a little bit of it. Okay, and then maybe just some big parts of Paganini Etude number 1. Oh, good heavens, I'm getting tired. So it's really bright, but now it's speaking. Like we said at the beginning, it's easy to bring it, or it's not easy. I have mad respect for what you're doing, but he's brought it up.
Easy.
Yeah, he's brought it up. It's easy to bring it back down. He just needles it, and he's an amazing voicer of pianos. So you can, as long as the piano, you can get it to speak, you can pull it back, but it's hard to get it to speak more and more and more. It's easy for a technician to bring it down quickly.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple principle to refine it. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll do some refining, but as you can see, like as I get into those high registers, that's really speaking nicely. So, sounding good so far.
So, which would you rather play an impromptu concert on, this as it is now, or when it's the way it started? Because when it started, it was refined.
I'd probably pick
pretending that the una corda position sounded a little better.
Sure. I would probably still take the beginning because there's so much nuance with the soft, but I would, because I'm like a very delicate player, like I'm playing like a lot of, but I've also seen you
sound good. You need, right? Yeah.
But I also have seen what you've done with my piano, so I don't want either of that. I don't want it now, and I don't want it how's the beginning. I just want this, what we have, to be refined. However, having said that, I know the leading question you were asking me, and I'd much rather play a piano that speaks. Now it's much more effortless. It just needs to take a little bit of the heat off of that lacquer, which is he does beautifully through needling. So that's kind of where it is. It depends on the repertoire I'd be playing as well.
I guess if you're playing a concerto with orchestra.
Yeah, I would absolutely take this. we had like no power. And honestly, it's really fun as we refine this to think of applications. So I remember my piano at home was feeling maybe just a little bit on the bright side, but then I was thinking, okay, it might be a little bright for this room, but how would this feel in a concert hall? And my mindset shifted and I thought, oh, this is actually perfect for a concert hall. And you might think, well, that's a stupid analogy. You want it to sound good in your home, but sometimes that mental shift, like I can hear this. That, to me, sounds like what you would actually want it to be in a concert hall. And I mean, that sounds as loud as a D to me. So as we bring this back down a little bit, it'll start to sound like
Don't
a B
worry,
again.
we'll bring it back down.
Yeah, so, but I'm glad that we're highlighting the process that this takes. We actually have to go too hot in order to get it to speak, and then we can refine it back down. I don't think people think through this. I certainly didn't.
No, and you might wonder, well, then why not just do the hard pressed hammers like we were talking about that start harder and come down? I think you can make both sound really good. I like this approach. I feel like I have more choices with color and what you can make the piano into in the end, you know?
Yeah, because you couldn't lacquer the hammers of a hard press.
You can, but then you get really hard,
yeah.
right? And sometimes you actually do to even things out. You know, even those, you have to even sections out just the same as this.
Sure.
But it's just a lot less.
Yeah, and that brings up the point of just the New York hammers being a more malleable hammer. You can, because they start so soft, you can kind of grade how hard. I should ask this question because I don't know the answer. Can you juice the hammer so much when they're this new that you effectively ruin the hammer? Or would it be pretty hard to do that?
It would be pretty hard to do that for me.
Okay.
No, I feel like in general, as long as the technician has the skills of needling and how to bring it down, but it'll have a different flavor to it. It'll always want to push strong. You know, if you bring it way just so hard that it's just got so much punch, you can still soften it, but it'll affect it
Temporarily. It might be temporarily soft and then keep going back harder.
Yeah, or just have a different quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little bit different quality of sound that maybe might not be so desirable. To
me, this actually sounds exactly like the Fazioli that I played Totentons on. I don't even remember the opening. And then it does those huge things. You can really, it's so bright, but the thing I love about New York Steinway hammers is how soft the colors can get, even amid being so bright. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do next.
No pressure. Okay.